So you've been a business owner for almost 20 years now. What has been the biggest mistake that you've made?
Within 3.5 years of purchasing the franchise, we promptly ran it into the ground. But you learn more by failing than you do by winning.
Being somebody who owns a financial management company, what is your personal investment strategy? No, that was awesome. Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Real quick, guys, before we get into the interview, obviously this is a different style of content than what I normally make, and it's the first interview that I have ever done. And I'll be honest, I was pretty nervous beforehand, but I do think that it was a lot of fun and it turned out pretty good. And there's lots of valuable information for you guys that you can implement into your own lives. So if you enjoy the video, let me know if you want to see more interview style content in the future with entrepreneurs and investors. Let's get right into the video. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're joined by Tad Pepper. Tad owns and operates a financial management company called Apex Financial and has over 20 years of experience helping families build and execute on financial plans. So Tad, thank you so much for joining us, and on behalf of the audience and myself, we really appreciate you giving us your time.
Oh, not a problem. Glad to be here.
So first question that I wanted to ask you is, obviously it's a pretty volatile time in the market. People are worried about prices of everything, including housing.
Yeah.
What are the most impactful things that people can do right now to improve their financial situation today?
I'd probably say the biggest thing right now is to develop a plan, either getting some advice by talking to somebody or just sitting down and figuring out what your goals are, where you want to go, and how you might get there. And what I mean by that is understand that if you're trying to save for a house, for example, what do you need for a down payment? What are the rules for purchasing a house? Do you qualify? What's your credit score look like? Things like that. If you're looking just to save for a rainy day, pay yourself first, but develop a game plan and constantly renew it. And it usually helps if you have somebody who's not in the picture, meaning not your spouse, to kind of give you a picture from the outside in, also to control emotions and just maybe give you some advice that you might not necessarily always be able to get by reading a book or watching TV.
So you've been a business owner for almost 20 years now. What has been the biggest mistake that you've made in that time, and what did you learn from it?
So I'm a graduate of NAIT. So right out of NAIT, myself and two other friends who purchased a business, a franchise in the interior of BC, and it was a window covering business at the time, and we didn't understand markets, trends, things like that with regards to real estate and how those can affect things like window coverings for houses. So within 3.5 years of purchasing the franchise, we promptly ran it into the ground. But what we learned the most was I learned so much about how to run a business, how to deal with people, bookkeeping, keeping track of stock. But you learn more by failing than you do by winning. And you have to put yourself out there and not be scared to fail. And I know that's tough. It was tough at the time. But when it was all done and said and the dust had cleared, and myself and my friends poked our heads up after dealing with the shutdown of the business, we went back and said, well, we should have done this, we could have done that, we could have done this. So that prepared us for the next step. And two of us, of the three, went on to own businesses. The third person, I guess, had his fill, but he still dabbles in being self-employed part-time in his side gig, if you will. But just the biggest thing I can say is don't be scared to fail, and understand you have to extend your comfort zone in order to learn. Otherwise, you don't learn from your mistakes and you're doomed to repeat them.
So do you think that you have to get lucky to be a successful entrepreneur or investor?
Well, I'll equate this to sports, hockey, because we've heard this all the time. Are some goaltenders or some players lucky, or are they work hard and they have a lot of skill? And I'd say it's a little bit of both. The people who work hard, develop their skill or their practice or their trade, whatever they're into, also get lucky. When you put it out to the universe, through your hard luck, things come back to you. But you can't get to that level unless you're working hard, unless you've built the foundation of the skills. Then you get opportunities and you're preparing yourself for those opportunities. And some people say, oh, you're so lucky because you got an opportunity to speak at this conference or get into this business. Well, he or she wouldn't have gotten there if they hadn't put in the hard work to begin with. And that's the key, is you have to hone your craft and keep getting better and keep working on it no matter how successful you get. If you look at Connor McDavid, does he stop practicing? Or, Caitlin Clark, or other people, anybody that you know that's successful in business, do they stop? Tony Robbins, has he stopped developing himself over the years? No, he continues to develop and he continues to put things out into the universe. Yes, it's for self-promotion, but he also understands that he has to keep getting better. He has to help others keep getting better so that he can reach his next level. And that's the key, is you create your own luck through your hard work and devotion to your craft.
So being somebody who owns a financial management company and you create plans for other people, what is your personal investment strategy?
Well, I get asked this question a lot, and it's very similar to what I present to clients. And a lot of clients ask me, well, you're putting me in this fund or this particular strategy. Do you use it? And yes, I do. And they ask, well, really? And I says, yeah. And I say, well, my mom, my wife, myself, all my friends who deal with me are in similar strategies or similar funds that we deal with. Different percentages, obviously, depending on time horizon and risk and things like that. But they use a lot of the similar funds that we use. And so if I blow it up or if I screw it up, it's not only you're going to be mad at me, but everybody I know is going to be mad at me. Mm-hmm. So, I wouldn't be putting you into it or suggest it to you if I wasn't using it, or if, my family or my friends weren't involved with it as well.
So there's a lot of people today that are struggling financially and they live paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
What would be the best advice that you have for somebody that is living paycheck to paycheck?
The biggest thing that I come across where people are tight with money or paycheck to paycheck or just barely keeping themselves above water is, first of all, pay yourself first. And what I mean by that, and it's in a lot of the books that you'll potentially read, is no matter how much money you make, you always seem to make it work. You always seem to pay the bills, pay the cell phone bill, put a little bit of gas in the car. Pay yourself first, because then you know how much you've got left to play with. And what I mean by that is consistency. It could be $5, $10, $15 you're putting away into a savings account till it reaches a certain amount, say $500, and then turn around and invest it. Buy a stock, buy a fund, things like that. Most of the younger people that I come across, when they're just starting out, they don't have a lot of money. So I ask the question, if I snuck into your bedroom once a month and stole $50 or $25 out of your wallet, how much partying would you do? Would you do a lot less partying that month?
Probably not.
Probably not, because let's face it, you go out with your friends, they got paid this week, you don't get paid till next week.
Yep.
They buy that round, and then the same thing. Well, when I went to Nate, just like you're going to Nate, same thing went on. We'd go down to the Nest, whoever's got money that week would buy a round so everybody can have a drink. Next week it's your turn to buy. It's no different. So pay yourself first. It's the consistency, not the huge amount. The worst thing I hear every time is, I'm going to wait till I get out of debt, wait till I've paid off all my bills, then I'm going to start saving. Well, that's when you're 65, 75, or 85, because typically we don't pay our house off before that, or we always have debts because we end up having kids and things like that.
Yep.
So the key is consistency. Pay yourself first and then make the rest work, because you always do it anyway. Right?
Perfect. No, that's great advice, and you can still drink beer. So like I said, you've been in business for a long time. Has there ever been a point in time where you wanted to give up, and why didn't you?
Every week. No, just kidding. Yes, absolutely. There's lots of times where you go, is this really worth it? Where you've had a tough week or a tough day, where situations come up where you're just like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this? But then you have to think back and say, what else would I be doing? Well, I would be working for somebody else. And again, what I'm about to say is my opinion only, so just take it for that, is you'd be working for somebody else who would tell you when you have to show up, when you have to go home, how much money you're going to make, and then you have to make that work. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're an entrepreneur, you have to put in the same amount of hours or more, and it's front end loaded. What I mean by that is you have to put in the effort before you get paid, not get paid by the hour, or get paid by commission, or however. You have to put in the work up front. And usually it's something you have passion for, because you wouldn't have gotten into it to begin with. So on those days where you think it's too hard, I can't do it, think back and say, well, what else would I be doing, and would I be happy? Because on your hardest days, you may be frustrated and upset, but you wouldn't have got into it to begin with if you didn't love it, if you didn't have a passion.
For sure.
And that's what brought you to it, right? So yeah, you do have days where you want to quit, but think back, what else would you be doing and why are you doing it? And find out what your why is, and it's your why that'll keep you going on the tough days.
So how important do you think learning and honing the skill of sales is when you're running your own business?
I think it's important that you learn how to present and talk to people, connect with people, things like that. Everybody equates sales as negative, right? But really, it's just presenting yourself. And if you do it with the right spirit of intent, it's really not sales, it's helping people. And you can't help people or let people know about your services or your product unless you get good at finding out what they're looking for and then seeing if your service or product can meet their needs. And that's through discussion, communication, and asking questions, and then listening to their answers. So it's good to become good at sales or communicating, so that'll help you in whatever endeavor you end up doing or whatever product or service you end up presenting or representing.
So you've helped a lot of families over the years build and execute on financial plans, and obviously you've been a business owner yourself.
Yeah.
How would you define success?
Well, how I define success, and this ties into the key question that I always get, is what's my minimum amount that I require a client to have before they come to see me? And really my answer is 2 feet and a heartbeat and willing to open up and allow me to help them. So success to me is where any person who I come in contact with who asks me to help them, to say, okay, I need some help with developing a plan or helping deal with this debt, or help me understand, what's an RSP versus a TFSA and things like that, is that we're able to sit down, communicate, ask questions of each other, and then work together to develop a game plan. And usually it takes a few sessions to hone it down to what it is they really want help with. It usually expands into other areas. But when I work together with a family or an individual and it reaches a point where they're asking questions automatically and I'm answering them, and then we're working together to find a solution, is where I define success. Yes, I get paid for what I do. Yes, their situation gets solved or gets made better, but usually I'm helping them set themselves up to grow for the future. The saying is, feed someone for a day, they're back to see you the next day for more food. Help them learn how to fish or hunt, they're fed for life. Well, it's education. Once they learn, then they go beyond and build their plan and take it to the next level. And that's what I define success as.
So do you have any habits or routines that you implement into your own life that has helped you build a successful business and helps with the longevity of your company?
Absolutely. Routines are huge. We're creatures of habit, most of us. You need to find a routine that works for you. I've got a friend where she works mostly at night because that's what she loves. My routine is I try and consistently be in front of the computer starting work between 8:30 and 9 every day. I have certain times of the day. Obviously I eat lunch, but most importantly, I also take time for self-development, reading books or listening to books because schedule gets kind of tight. Reviewing my goals every year. Between Christmas and New Year's, I sit down and work a personal and professional goal list that I want, and I write them down. It's key that you write them down and then review them regularly. And then things like trying to eat healthy, go to the gym regularly, have social time. This is all important for habits, right? Creating habits that make you a happy, healthy person is not just work, but it's consistency. Like you've talked in some of your videos, consistency of investing, consistency with life, meaning you're up at the same time every day, you're starting your business at the same time every day, although some days you have to start earlier or go later, but consistency, doing the same thing, meaning starting at the same time, consistently doing that, reading a book, doing self-development, every day or every couple days, getting exercise, eating properly, regularly, getting proper amount of sleep, developing relationships with people in your industry, expanding your network or your horizons, join a networking group or go to an association on a regular basis, things like that. It's these consistent pieces that you do that will build your self-esteem and your business, on a consistent basis.
A follow-up to your goals mentality.
Sure.
So one thing that I do a lot is I like to set yearly goals. I've
Yep.
been doing that for a couple years now,
Yep.
and I've found a lot of benefit to it. Do you have a specific type of framework that you follow when it comes to setting goals, or how do you think about that?
Yeah, I do for my business is I try and set goals for number of new houses that I'm going to help, how much the business is going to grow, not just necessarily from new clients, but how we're going to help our existing clients grow, their net worth, their productivity in other areas that they want to do. I set goals for that as well. And review them regularly. But I also review them with the client because it's part of the plan that they've set out with us as well. Mm-hmm. And where they're at with it, because some people are on it and review their plan with us regularly, and other times they only review it twice a year when we come to do a review with them.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had a mentor and someone that you've looked up to and has helped you a lot with your business?
I've had a few, and I still have a few today that I bounce ideas off. One being obviously my partner, because we're totally opposite personality-wise. So he looks at things totally different than I do, which has been great. It's frustrating at times because we do butt heads, but it's also been refreshing because he brings up ideas that I never would have thought of and vice versa, right? So we complement each other very well. Plus, I've also got my accountants. I've got a lawyer friend. I've got a couple people in business that I bounce ideas off of, or I go for lunch just to pick their brain on what they're doing and what areas they're doing, because they're doing things in totally different areas that I'm in, but it does tie in, but it also lets me know of different trends that are going on. And it helps, if I know a few people in real estate, so I'm always picking their brains, what's going on in real estate from their perspective. I've got some mortgage brokers that I deal with that I pick their brains a lot. But I've also got people in totally different industries that I don't touch at all that, I pick their brain on how their business is going, because they're heading in a different direction that I'm not part of or I don't deal in right now, but I may have to deal with down the road.
How do you think some people who don't have a big network can go about actually finding a mentor?
Go to networking events. Put it out in the universe, ask the people that they do know and say, I'm looking to talk to somebody to learn more about whatever it is they're looking to learn about. Somebody will go, well, I know somebody, because humans inherently want to help each other. So if you put it out there, it'll happen, but be prepared because it usually comes fast.
What are some things that you think people can take advantage of today that will benefit them for the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, on the financial planning side, the consistency, like you've talked about, educating yourself, and then finding areas of interest, because obviously you'll keep up with it, to maybe invest or follow. A lot of people are into crypto, a lot of people are into AI, and other places, some people are still in real estate. Whatever intrigues you, those are the areas that will probably help you the most. But also diversifying, not just in where you're investing, but diversifying what you're learning about. As we had talked about off camera, is expand your network of what I call your team, right? So make sure you find different mentors in different areas that you can rely on to go to get information that'll help you in different areas, because you can't be an expert in everything, but you can be strong in certain areas. And rather than being a jack of all trades, knowing a lot in the little areas but never a master of none, be a master of one or two, know a little bit, but also develop your relationships with other people in other industries so they can help answer your questions, mentor you, help you along in your areas.
So there you have it, everybody. Tad, thank you so much for joining us.
Not a problem.
That was awesome. It was really great to ask you some questions.
Thanks for having me here. I appreciate it.
Of course, yeah. As on behalf of the audience and myself, we really appreciate you giving us your time once again. That was awesome. As always, everybody, I wish you the best of luck on your journey to success. Peace out.
Good job.
Boom, boom, boom. No, that was awesome. Yeah, thank you.
And no problem.
Seriously, thank you. That was